welcome back to part 3 of Zentangel. So, what you all are going to be doing is you should have outlined your letters. Now, you're going to go back there with your big pink eraser, and you got to do counterclockwise erasing across the whole thing. The reason we do counterclockwise is because it kind of makes sure that we're getting everything. You're just going to go over it. For your other ones, you do this with all 3. You're doing this sort of at a slow clip. This is so if you notice that you miss something, you pick up your Sharpie, go back. Part of that neatness of what I will be grading you on is if there's any pencil marks that I can see. Okay, then you're going to want to just brush it off. I'm going to take it off camera real quick. You should see no pencil marks at this point. I forgot to put my pen further down, so I have a little bit of a mess. Try to remember to always have a paper down behind them when you're working on it. If you're working with Sharpie, it can make a lot of difference. Unless you're like me and you just can't find your paper. So I'm just going to use this one. Put it in there behind it. Catch any bleed through from your Sharpie. Alright, now, if your letters are separated like this, where they're not touching, so if they're not touching like this, you definitely need to go through an outline. So the way you do that, and I'll show you on here, so like where these two aren't touching, you can do this with your ultrafine and your fine marker. Just go in, try to keep it consistent. You're following the contour of the line. Contour means the outside line. So I'm following the outside line of my shapes. Doesn't make sense to go inside this G, so I'm just going to dip in real quick and then go up like this. Contours the outside line of the shapes. Okay? You can tell with my G I messed up a little bit, but that's okay if you mess up a little bit. Whatever you do round 1, you'll do around the other 2 as well. While you're doing this, you need to take a break, that's fine. Or if you need to if you can't do this all in one go, take a moment, pick up your pen. You need to turn the paper as you go. The more you pull towards you, the less weird your line will be. So you can see I'm really starting to mess up there. It's because my hand's starting to shake. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. You may want to avoid things like that, but for the most part, just get as close as possible. So now, and if you need to draw the line with pencil before you go through and do it with Sharpie, do that, okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and you are going to break your background up. To do this, you can use circles if you want, so just like I did here, all I did is take the bottom of a water bottle, put it down, and make circles, okay? So, as you can see, 1 circle, 2 circles, 3, that's fine. What I want you to be careful of is, if you do circles, is that wherever 2 circles overlap, you need to make sure it's a big enough space, and don't overlap a 3rd circle with them because it can get confusing. Don't forget that in your bottom right corner, you need to have your first and last name. I will not accept anything that does not have your first and last name in the bottom right corner so that I can see, okay? Alright, so the next step, like I said, is you will be breaking up your background. You're going to take your straight edge, your ruler. I'm going to tilt my lines a little bit. I'm going to stop. As you can tell, I'm not holding my ruler at one end. If I was, what would happen is once I get to one end of it, it would start moving. We don't want that. So I hold it so that my hand is spread out. If you need to spread it out more for a variety, please don't cross over. Please stay on this side of the ruler, on the right side. And then if you're lefty, stay on the left side of your ruler. So I'm going to put it down. Y'all look what would happen if I held it one end. When I'm going up it, it moves. But if I'm holding it with my hand spread out, it doesn't move. I'm going to do 3 lines this way. You notice I'm not drawing through my words because it's one less thing I have to erase. And then I'm going to turn the paper this way. Try not to make super small areas, because if you make super small areas, guess what? You have to fill it with Zentangel. Try not to make your words or your spaces super big either. So you gotta remember this and this are going to be 2 different spots. Try to make your lines nice and light. So if you need to erase, you can. So you should be looking at about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 or more spaces that you are going to have to fill. I would like it to at least be 15 or more, okay? So now what you're going to do is, if you're feeling steady enough, you're going to take your Sharpie. Sorry about railing, y'all. If you want to use your ruler for this, because your hand shakes, it's fine. I'm just going to kind of freehand it, go over my lines. Try to pull towards me as much as possible. Not going through the name at the bottom. Like I said, if you want to put your ruler on to do this, it's fine. But what you don't want to do is leave your Sharpie in one spot too long, because what will happen is it will create a dot because your Sharpie will bleed onto the paper. That is where I need you to get for the next class. In part 4, I'll show you how to start your Zentangel. Don't forget you need to go back with your eraser counterclockwise over all the lines, or up and down. Just be very careful. Make sure you're getting rid of all the gum cells. So if you have any questions,